Yo, hey guys, Nerfed here. Wanted to make a video regarding my Kinetic Bolt / Kinetic Blast Wonder for farming Simulacrums. Wanted to make an update for it for the 3.24 Necropolis leak. What stuff affected it, what stuff got nerfed, buffed, etc. And how we fix it again for the new leak. So yeah, let's get right into it. In the background, you currently see the build in action. Yeah, you stand there, press Kinetic Blast, and everything dies. For single target, we use Kinetic Bolt, stand below the boss to shotgun. Yes. Okay, yeah, what we lost, sadly a lot of stuff, or like a lot of good stuff, for Wonders was nerfed. First stuff that affects everyone, charms. We lost our 3 charms, which gave us like +2 max fire res, which was the important one. Stun immunity, ES Leech, and Culling Strike. However, we can easily fix most of those. I'm going straight into the new PoE beat here. For the Culling Strike, sadly, that's the only thing that has only a bad solution to fix. Yeah, we can either path to the Mark for Death cluster, which is not really worth it, or we're using Culling Strike on frostblink now on the 2-link, and just frostblinking through a very tanky boss on tanky waves on 10% HP. Yeah, the second charm, we lost the +2 max res for fire, which actually doesn't matter with the new Ruby Flask. New Ruby Flask, if you didn't know, now gives +5 to max fire res. And we even now dropped the fire resistance on the boots implicit, and we dropped the corruption on the cloak. So we're now getting from 85 to 90 purely from the Ruby Flask, which is actually a nice improvement. Yeah, Entry Shield Leech. Entry Shield Leech actually was never needed. The shield itself gives you Entry Shield Leech if you're on full life, and even during high damage scenarios in Simulacrums, you will be enough on full life with Defiance that you are leeching Entry Shield enough for your mana and to keep up Everlasting Sacrifice. So this shouldn't be a problem at all. And the last thing that we really lost was Stun Immunity. However, this can be offset with tattoos coming back, since we're getting 36% stun immunity from the Heart of Oak cluster. We're getting the last 70% with 7 stun avoid tattoos on the tree. On the Mageblood version, we don't even need those tattoos. We're going to be using a flask, but I'm going to go over that when I'm talking about flasks. Yeah, the other nerfs, what we lost, Kinetic Bolt was nerfed. If we pull up the gem page here, yeah, Kinetic Bolt lost like 15% baseline damage, which is I think like 12% nerf or so overall. So this does affect us. Nothing much we can do about that. What Kinetic Bolt also lost, which is bad for like all of the strength stackers and whatever, but does not affect us at all basically, is the increases and reductions to spell damage applied to attack damage. This build did not use that. The only spell damage we have is on the wand implicit. So there's like 100% increased damage lost. It's like 5% or so. Not that big of a deal. Yes, and then also the Sniper's Mark nerf. Sniper's Mark was changed to now only split towards 2 additional targets on all levels from 5 on 21. And got a bit of a nerf to the increased damage taken. So yeah, this hurts the single target quite a lot. This is like 60% nerf or something for a single target for Kinetic Bolt, which does hurt, especially on less curse reduction waves, since now with 2 additional targets, with 66% less curse effect, we're only having 1 split on those waves, which is very bad for a single target. But yeah, what we can do, or what's new in the new patch, is the Wisp support. I think they have it here as well. Yeah, Sacred Wisp support, which just fires your wand spell again. Has a chance to fire your wand spell again from a different position, from 2 wisps that are spawning next to you. Sadly, I think this gem is pretty bad and completely useless for single target for Kinetic Bolt, since it doesn't shotgun, since the wisps are not positioned under the boss. For the clear, it may be worth experimenting around a bit on Kinetic Blast for the clear setup and dropping the fork. However, I think we will run into FPS issues if you fire 3 KBs at the same time, since it's already pretty taxing on the PC. So that's just something to keep in mind. Yeah, also what's new, tattoos are coming back, which is actually a pretty big deal for this build. Stun avoidance is very important for the no Mageblood setup. And for the Mageblood setup, we can use mark effect tattoos. Since with the focal point, the 75% increased mark effect and the 15% reduction from mark on hit, we are baseline at 1.6 curse effect, which would give us like 3 splits currently with the 2 baseline now. And if we can use 10 of these mark effects tattoos, we can get to 200% curse effect, which will give us another split. So 4 splits in total again from the 8 we had previously. So it's still a 50% nerf, but it still helps the single target quite a bit. Yeah, sadly the new Kinetic Blast of Clustering is pretty useless. It's for mana builds, and since it only fires 1 projectile, it's not good for simulacrums at all. So yeah, this is not really usable. Okay, then let's go into how to offset the nerfs and a bit what I changed in the builds. Yeah, 1 stays the same. Need around 600 DPS plus, I would say. Multimod wand to start the build. Shield stays the same, helmet stays the same, body armor stays the same, only the corruption is different. Previously we had +1 to always. Now I've opted for a bit more damage. Yeah, let's skip the gloves for now. The boots stay the same, only the implicits changed. Now using action speed instead of the max fire res. Defiance is still the same, still OP. Still need the Nimbus for the build. The Surge is also staying. Adrenaline is way too good in Sims. Yeah, for the belts, there are a few options for the non-Mageblood setup. Or like there are 2 options. You either go with a Stygian, which I think is now needed to fix the chaos resistance. Otherwise you won't have enough chaos res. If you can somehow fix the chaos resistance with the new gloves, then maybe you can use the replica headhunter still. But yeah, that's the other option. I'm using a corrupted blood, just searching out just with some damage. For the flasks, the things that have changed is I'm now using the updated ruby flask for the 5 max fire res. Now we can get to 90 pretty easily. Yeah, other than that stays the same. Diamond flask, yeah, for crit, silver flask for onslaught, amethyst flask to cap the chaos resistance, and sulfur flask for increased damage and consecrated ground for curse reduction, together with a curse reduction suffix on another flask will give you 100% curse immunity. The jewels in the tree stay pretty much the same, still using natural affinity and interrogation. Watcher's Eye with purity of fire conversion, and a second damage mod if possible. Yeah, still using the same cluster with Feed the Fury and Opportunistic Fuselage. Yeah, Lethal Pride with 2 points of conversion if possible, plus Intimidate on hit, and if possible also Endurance Charge. I think this is the best seed, 12-3-4-9. Make sure it's also Rakiata, since you need Temper by War. Yeah, and then yeah, Ancestral Vision for ailment immunity. For the gloves, gloves have now been a big topic, or like I think the biggest topic in this build. There are 2 options you can go. You can either go with the old pair, which is just normal rares with Spell Suppression and the Rage on hit, together with Chaos Resist. You can then use the Replica Headhunter again to still be Chaos Res kept. If you go with the new gloves, with 7 link gloves, you have to switch to a Stygian Vise. You need Chaos Resistance on 1 piece of gear. So otherwise you are not Chaos Wave Captain, you need to be that for the shield. Yeah. The advantage of the gloves, as you can see in the full DPS, if you switch to the old ones, it's nearly double damage. But they are way more expensive. I'm not sure yet if they are needed. We'll have to do some testing, or if some of you are playing the build, please let me know if you have done some testing without them still, and if Kinetic Bolt is still usable without Simulacrum gloves. But the thing that I've thought about just doing is using these, the old pair with the rage and hit suffix, and then just fitting a berserk into the links. And then at the end of the wave, when there's only the boss remaining, or when I know I can get good DPS on the boss, like I have courses next to a wall or something, I just quickly press berserk. It lasts for like 4 seconds, and I try to burst the boss down in those 4 seconds, just completely blasting him. That's my current plan. If that doesn't work, yeah, we might need to craft 7 gloves. It is pretty hard / expensive to do, but I think that's the only option we have left to really increase our single target. Another swap that's maybe usable now is Yoke of Suffering. Yeah, Yoke was a bit buffed, now grants 10% increased damage for each ailment type. I think this is more of an option on the Mageblood setup, since you can use the Yoke, and then you can use Skitterbots and drop Arctic Armor for Chill and Shock to get 5 ailments. So you get 50% increased damage taken from the Yoke. That's just another version, but Defiance is pretty broken. So I think most likely we'll stay with Defiance. For the Mageblood setup, nothing really changes. Yeah, you still get the Ruby Flask, still need that sadly. Yeah, Silver Flask for Onslaught with Curse Reduction. The thing that changes Amethyst Flask with Stun Immunity. Really important to get Stun Immunity here, that you can swap the tattoos to Mark Effects. Excuse me. Yeah, and Sulfur Flask on the last one. There's no really better option, since we're still already crit capped without a Diamond Flask. We don't really need a Diamond Flask here. Yeah, I've held the config pretty moderate. It's just a normal config, 1 brittle, 5 sap, 5 scorch. Yeah, with on kill ticked, because it's a Simulacrum build. For the Pantheons, important thing, minor not that important. You can pretty much use anything. I opted to use either Tukum Hammer or Crook Tool, I think. Major is very important. You need to use Solaris. You need crit damage reduction for it, since you have no other way to have crit reduction if you don't get it on the chest. So highly recommended to use Solaris here and not use anything else. But yeah, other than that, the tree has just been a bit updated. One thing for the Mageblood version, especially if you're using Awakened Fork on the Mageblood version instead of like Added Cold or something, if you can afford it, you most likely want to use Split Shot. And if you're using this, I think on the Mageblood version you can drop the Inspired Learning. You would just do it like that and use any other gem link here. Like drop 1 point somewhere, like drop 50 life. And this would be like a version with the Awakened Fork. But yeah, I think that's everything. I will post my notes in text form as well in the description, and I will post the updated PoB in the description. Yeah, the build still is not a league starter. As you can see, a lot of uniques and a lot of expensive stuff. Yeah, I would say around roughly 100 divs you can build it. If you can afford a Progenesis, it's a pretty big deal for survivability. Starting before Progenesis can be a bit hard, especially if you want to do it deathless every time. Yeah, but I would highly recommend starting it after getting the Progenesis, getting all of the good gear together, and then just blasting. Yeah, just an update for the builds. Yeah, hopefully you have fun in the new league, 324. yeah, good luck in the new league, I guess, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.